Mention the White Mountains and most travelers think of Franconia Notch, Cannon Mountain, the Flume, Boise Rock, Echo Lake, and other familiar landmarks along Route 3. However, this diverse range, part of the 750,000-acre White Mountains National Forest, encompasses many hidden gems that pass below the radar of casual visitors. Hikers, anglers, ATV riders, mountain bikers, campers, and outdoor lovers of all types will find no shortage of opportunities for enjoying their favorite forms of recreation. And if they happen to visit in the fall, well, things only get more interesting. Explore New England is brought to you by your New England Ford dealers, your local REI co-op. REI believes a life outdoors is a life well lived. Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. And visitnewengland.com. In the northern portion of New Hampshire's White Mountains is a unique park. At 7,400 acres, Jericho Mountain State Park was created in 2005 and comprises some 60 miles of trails dedicated to all-terrain vehicles and snowmobiles. The park even hosts an annual ATV festival featuring live music, a parade, ATV demos, food and beer trucks, and more. To get a tour of the park, I stopped by Northeast Snowmobile and ATV Rental in Gorham, near the park's eastern border. Northeast rents Polaris side-by-side and single-seat ATVs, as well as snowmobiles in winter, and is close to many of the local trails. They can also outfit you with all the gear and clothing you'll need for a day of riding. My guide for the day was Jesse Lutz, a Berlin native and avid ATV rider who came to the sport at an early age.
So, born and raised in Gorham, New Hampshire. I've lived here my entire life. I wouldn't have it any other way. You have to like the outdoors if you want to live here. I grew up on side-by-sides and four-wheelers and hiking and being out in the woods. When weekends came, it was always time to hop on the four-wheeler and hit Jericho State Park and go out with the family for a whole day, come back, get cleaned up, and just have a good time out there. It truly is a great area to live in. Over here, you have where we are in Coos County, and then you have us right here. This is Jericho State Park, and then we are all the way down at the bottom here. Okay. So we're going to take a left up Smitty's Trail, which will bring us up into Jericho State Park. We'll cross over the top of Sugar Mountain, and then Jericho State Park sits in a valley. So we're going to be playing around in the valley, and then the two highest points, you have Jericho Mountain here, and then you have another one at the top of the warming hut. Two highest points of the park, and we're just going to play around in this area down here.
So when was the park
formed or designated an ATV park?
So it was 2005 when the park was designated as an ATV park. Jericho Lake was actually made in 1970.
It's a man-made lake?
It's man-made, so it's been there for a little while. So I think one of the things that surprises people the most is how easy they are to drive. They're very, very straightforward. They really are just gas and go. Trail etiquette is pretty straightforward. As long as you're on the right-hand side of the trail and following the speed limit, you can spend all day out here and not have any problems.
Shortly after entering the park and sampling a few of its easier trails, we stopped to check out the warming hut, where ATV and snowmobile riders can take a break. The site also offers sweeping views of the valley. Are you getting to drive?
No license
No,
yet.
you're not getting. You don't get to drive these things. Do you want to? Do you like it?
16.
Yeah. What do you like best about ATV riding? Going fast, going over bumpy stuff.
Going fast.
Going fast, yeah. I bet you can't wait to drive one yourself, though, right? Yeah. Yeah. The ATV trails in Jericho lead to several scenic stops, including 5 giant wind turbines that stand along a ridge on the eastern edge of the park.
Yes, I remember when I was a kid watching them come through town. They all came on tractor-trailer trucks. So these big trucks came through. I remember having them remove road signs and everything so they could get through the tight intersections to get up into Berlin to bring them up here.
Yeah, so they would have like each individual blade on a big tractor trailer?
Yep, so they had the blades are all one piece, and then the columns going up are all small sections, and they were able to fit a certain amount on each truck.
Wow. A short ride from the wind towers brought us to the shores of Jericho Lake and Jericho Lake Campground. The ride-in, ride-out campground features tent, shelter, and RV sites, along with a beach, a boat ramp, bathhouses, kayak and canoe rental, grills, and a shelter for functions. The lake itself, actually a shallow man-made reservoir, offers fishing for bass, perch, northern pike, and crappie. The campground is open weekends only beginning May 12th, and opens full-time for the season May 22nd to November 12th. Even a half day of ATV riding can leave you famished, and few spots will take care of that hunger quicker than the Road Hawg restaurant in downtown Gorham. That's where Jesse and I headed after leaving Jericho Park, and the owners Jack and Corrine Jennings didn't disappoint with their famous pig pile barbecue feast. Could have fooled me. Well, it's not. You know what though? It smells like barbecue, so we must be at the right place.
Right.
hey, it's been a hot, dusty ride on the trails, you know? This is my reward for, you know, ATV riding, you know? Yeah, it was a hunting dog, yeah. Yeah,
no, it's a labor of love, really.
Good, good. Have you always been into barbecue? Have you always loved it?
Yeah, our family did a Memorial Day celebration for 21 years where we had a couple hundred people at our event every year. We cooked a pig, had a regular Memorial Day celebration and speeches,
and that's how you got into it?
That's how we got into it.
And
but we did barbecue competitions too, as you know, as a hobby.
Snap. Oh man, that looks so good. Pick it up. That is a good rib.
We're all 100% wood fired. We use apple, maple, and cherry wood. We developed our own rub, our own sauces, and cook low and slow like barbecue's meant to do. We started as a barbecue trailer. We did events such as music festivals, fairs, that kind of thing. Kind of a demand for our product out there. Number one question at the window was, where's your restaurant? You gotta have a restaurant. We'll travel to your restaurant. And we're from Vermont originally. We moved to the North Country into our second home, bought this place, built it up, attracted to the ATV business, and it's working for us.
Autumn in the White Mountains is always spectacular, even if you're content to simply experience it from the seat of a car. But when you combine the fall foliage with the equally exquisite colors of a spawning brook trout, well, that's taking things to a whole new level. Helping fly fishermen experience the thrill of catching trout in the local freestone rivers and streams of central New Hampshire is Steve Angers, owner of North Country Angler, a premier fly shop in North Conway. Steve is the 5th owner of the venerable shop, and he calls the surrounding waters in the area the best kept secret in New Hampshire fly fishing.
If you want to fish for wild brook trout, you can fish for wild brook trout. If you want to fish for stocked brook trout, stocked rainbow trout, and stocked brown trout, the state of New Hampshire does a fantastic job of putting all 3 of those species in our major rivers. And if you like to catch really big trout, the brown trout actually hold over in the Saco River, and we have brown trout up to 30 inches, which matches brown trout from anywhere across the country.
When I heard that, I was hooked. So in early October, I met Steve for a chance to fish the Ellis River, which flows for some 16 miles from its source on Mount Washington to its confluence with the Saco River and holds brook brown and rainbow trout. We started out just below the Goodrich Falls Dam, a good spot to find brook trout that were making their way upriver to spawn. The presence of brookies is heavily dependent on water levels, as the fish won't move upstream until after a heavy rainfall. In our case, the river was somewhat low, although we still managed to pull a beautiful brookie from the deep, dark pool.
The White Mountains is just one of the most, beautiful places on the planet. And because of the White Mountain National Forest that protects over 400,000 acres worth of land from being developed, it will always be a beautiful place to be on the planet. From the early 1800s, even the late 1700s, this has been the place that the people from cities, Boston, Portland, Providence, Hartford, came to the White Mountains to recreate. And it hasn't changed at all. It's still the place where the people from the major cities come to do their recreation, and that's why fishing is a piece of of the overall recreational package that's here in the White Mountains.
The mill pond directly above the dam and just below the Route 16 bridge, known as Timmy's Bridge, also holds trout in the fall, and we notice several fish sipping emerging insects from the surface. Getting them to eat our imitations proved quite another matter. Our last stop was the stretch of river below the covered bridge in Jackson. While this postcard landmark makes a scenic backdrop to a fly fishing excursion, you're better off searching farther downstream to find less heavily fished parts of the river.
I got into fly fishing when I was 10 years old, and I had been a trout fisherman since 6 years old. And my dad got into the fly fishing, and he was my fishing buddy. And so from the time I was 10, I switched over from bait fishing to fly fishing. And then when I was 12, my father bought me my first fly tying kit, and I started tying my own flies, and I've been tying my own flies since I was 12. So it's been an all-encompassing passion for me.
Pocket water fishing involves drifting a nymph fly through the fast water between boulders. The trout will normally be looking for food in the protected, slower water behind the rocks, as well as along the current seams. Once you make a few short drifts, it's time to move to the next pocket. The Ellis offers pocket water fishing at its finest, and it's amazing how the trout will hold in just a few inches of water, unseen to all but the trained eye of an experienced angler.
What I love about fly fishing is being outdoors and being on the water. I mean, there's really nothing that lowers my blood pressure like standing in a stream, feeling the water go by, watching a trout rise to a fly, and then trying to figure out the puzzle and getting that fish to rise to my fly. There's just nothing else on the planet that I've ever experienced that is equal to that.
After picking a few pockets on the Ellis, Steve and I climbed back in his truck and returned to his shop. While the fishing was slow by most people's standards, simply catching a few trout amid the beautiful backdrop of autumn leaves was reward enough, and reason enough to return to the White Mountains next fall.